Hi guys! So here we are in the fourth video and we're going to shift gears a little bit here. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite pieces that I've made for cosplays, and hopefully it'll get you thinking about unusual materials and how to use them, because sometimes we don't have the time or the money to get the actual thing that we're looking at. Finding alternatives is a great way to not only save you a couple of bucks, but make your cosplay special. So the very first thing I'm going to share with you was from my Rosalina costume, and it was my stuffed Luma. Now this little guy was easy to make. The materials were conventional and easy to find. The only special thing about this Luma was I used some fishing line and I ran it through the top of his head so that he could be draped over my neck and I wouldn't have to carry him in my hands the entire time, so I didn't have to worry about losing him. Sometimes you can get away with that, sometimes you can't. It was great for me because I needed my hands, because the cosplay itself had a very long train and I had to carry my train the entire time we were at Emerald City. Yeah, I won't be doing that again. So, the second piece I'm going to share with you was also last year, and it was the Klingon Lady of the House. It was the breast armor. And looking at it, it's pretty obvious that it used to be a bra. It was a bra that was getting ready to get thrown out, and I repurposed it. Sometimes you can do that with pieces of clothing that you feel like are on their last leg and you need to replace it, but you can get one or two good uses out of anyway. Repurpose it into cosplay. It saves you a couple of dollars and you don't feel guilty for throwing out something that you think is not ready to be thrown out. Um, this build was basically an imitation of something I had seen online. Come to find out, the imitation was done with Warbler, and I used craft foam. So this particular piece probably is not going to hold up for very long, but it held up as long as I needed it to. It looked pretty good from far away, and it was the first time I used 3D printed emblems on cosplay pieces. It was a learning experience, and I absolutely love those things now. Um, the next piece I'm going to show you was from this past year when I was doing Mija. And the costume itself, I could not incorporate pockets easily, so I made myself a little purse. This little purse held my lipstick, it held my medication, it held a walkie-talkie. The only thing I had to compromise on was I did not want to use the really big rings. Those are actually split rings that you use for keychains. But because of the weight, I kind of had to use those last minute. I sank some grommets to make sure that it wouldn't tear the cloth. And it worked pretty well. It was a pretty sturdy purse, and I didn't have to really fight with it the entire time I was there. So sometimes making yourself a little purse or a little handbag can kind of help with that whole where am I going to put this stuff. I know a lot of people have figured this out already, but it didn't occur to me until this past year to do it. And I've been doing it for 4 years now, so just a little bit of advice there. The very last piece I want to talk about is something that I came to gradually. I had to make these little earwigs for the Mija cosplay last year, and it was a very delicate looking piece. There were no tutorials on how to make these things. I know some online retailers make them, but I really didn't want to spend the money that they were asking for. So I started messing around with different materials and I settled on, of all things, jewelry wire, sandwich bags, and hot glue. That is all they are. That's it. And then I took some of the surplus cloth I had from making the skirt and the purse, and I overlaid it on top of the pieces with Mod Podge, made sure that it was nicely bonded, and then I glued the whole thing together with hot glue. Those things literally cost me to make maybe 10 bucks. And it was because I had to go out and get the jewelry wire. That was it. So it was a very nice little decorative piece for my cosplay that I tinkered with. I went through 4 or 5 iterations of them before I settled on one that I actually liked. Sometimes experimentation is something that you kind of have to go through to find the way you really want to make these cosplay pieces work. So I'm going to leave this video here, and hopefully we'll be able to get into actual construction in the next video. But until then, let's have some fun, and thank you for watching.